Hello, welcome to Progressive Short Takes. I'm your host, Joe Firestone. So, the title of this short take is It's Not About Joe, it's about the future of us. And that theme is in line with a new website that has some interesting things to say to us. Let's share that website. Well, there it is. Not him, us.org. We wanted a political revolution. What should the revolutionaries do now? We've got our own reasons to vote for Biden, and Joe ain't one. Joe ain't one. So let's take a look at one of the more compelling reasons why it's not about him, but about us. So this is a post on the site. It says defeating fascism is priority number one. If there is one immutable maxim that the left should take from the past century, it's that we absolutely have to unite, and specifically with liberals, to defeat fascism. In the wake of the 2016 election and into his first term, there's been a debate over whether Trump is a mastermind with an authoritarian playbook or an unhinged moron without a clue. Both things can be true at once, if in different ways. Out of the gates, Trump's dangerous clown car of an administration showed itself to be out of its league when it comes to running anything as complex as the executive branch of the United States government, making countless avoidable missteps. The COVID-19 crisis shows plainly the catastrophic impact of this incompetence. Trump is a terrible president. Millions have paid the price, and 210,000 Americans are dead, most probably as of today. Hang on a second. Let me double check this. According to the Worldometer site, it tries to keep a real time count of these things. We are now at 210,137 fatalities in the United States, and of course, many more to come today. We're on track to get close to 1,000 fatalities for the day. Currently, we're at 634 fatalities per million. And that leaves us now only 3 fatalities per million behind Ecuador. We're moving up fast. Count Ecuador. We're already 15 deaths per million ahead of the UK, a nation on the upswing itself, which we only recently passed, but we're already 15 ahead of them. And closing in, on Ecuador. Will probably surpass Ecuador in deaths per million tomorrow, which will leave us number 7 in the world if we discount the very small political entities of Andorra and San Marino. So, number 7 in the world among nations with an appreciable population. So, there we are, a terrible record of performance. People paying the price for Trump. So, Trump could lose in 2020 because people have paid that terrible price for COVID, not counting the economic dislocations, which are the worst since the Depression of the 1930s. But to go on, Trump could also win. What Trump is not terrible at is energizing a base and holding together a formidable alignment of social forces. Trump is a, quote, mastermind, unquote, to the extent he understands how to navigate the populist landscape far better than the current leadership of the Democratic Party. Everybody will agree to that, won't they? In a populist era, when the political class as a whole is widely reviled, this single competency makes up for an enormous amount of other deficiencies, with the superficial trappings of outside-of-them Trump's junk populism inspired a large enough committed base to win him the Electoral College in 2016, and we should not underestimate his chances of winning a second term. How does, quote, junk populism, unquote, and a, quote, authoritarian playbook, unquote, relate to the F word, fascism? Some political scientists identify the use of political violence as the key ingredient that catalyzes authoritarian populism into full-blown fascism. This is an important dividing line, and it doesn't serve us to throw the label fascist around casually, as, by the way, many have in relating to Joe Biden and calling Joe Biden a fascist. But we must also not be so cautious that we wait to call an aspiring fascist a fascist until after he has fully consolidated the political order and it's too late. Trump has consistently stoked fear and hatred, racism and xenophobia among the most dangerous and most violent pockets of American society, intentionally empowering these groups and unleashing them as a political force. This summer, we've witnessed a fast and dramatic escalation as local, state, and federal police forces have turned a blind eye to and even collaborated with armed white supremacists who literally murdered protesters in the streets, while Trump and other Republicans and conservative pundits defended them. This is what an escalation to fascism looks like, and why Trump must be denied a second term. But do we have to choose between voting for a fascist and voting for a neoliberal? Yes and no. First, let's understand that neoliberalism and its colossal failures paved the way for fascism. We can't just defeat Trump and try to return to a status quo that was failing working class people. But Nina Turner put it best when talking about the way forward for our movements. Quote, we've got two dragons to slay. The dragon of neo-fascism, and then slay the dragon of neoliberalism, unquote. That order of operations is important. We have to understand the times in which we are living and the very real threat of rising authoritarianism and neoliberalism on a global scale. With a second Trump term threatening an escalation to full-blown fascism, this election is not about Joe Biden and the Democratic Party establishment. It's about all of us. It's about stopping the worst possible scenario now so we can carry out our political revolution next. Trump is not a joke. He used an authoritarian playbook to win the presidency and has quickly entrenched a new level of authoritarianism into mainstream U.S. politics. In the global context, Trump is the figurehead of a rising proto-fascist internationale. History shows plainly the grave consequences of traveling farther down this road. The 1930s taught us one lesson we can never forget. We must unite, even with neoliberal opponents, to defeat the fascism. Okay, I entirely agree with that. I think, to me, that is simply common sense. We must see to it that Donald Trump loses. That doesn't mean voter shaming people. Voter shaming is counterproductive, and it's a violation of the basic rights of people to vote their conscience, whatever their conscience actually tells them. Let people vote in what they see to be the right way. Do not criticize the votes of other people, but vote on your own according to your conscience. What my conscience tells me is that I must vote in such a way as to block Trump. That is the mandate of this time. Oh, that is the way that I see it. I'll be back with another short take in just a little while. Thank you very much.